Hey guys, welcome back. And on today's episode of Confessions of a Spectrum Mom, we are going to talk about something that could be triggering to some people. We're going to talk about miscarriage, loss, and finding peace afterwards. Okay? So I'm going to give you guys a time if you need to gather yourselves. Okay, so I saw something online that talked about like how do you have peace during difficult times, and I've had a friend share like, you just seem so happy, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm necessarily happy, but I definitely feel like I have peace, and that is definitely something that I have been striving for. Now, I have 2 children that are here on this earth with me, and I have 2 that are in heaven. And that was a hard journey to go through. Okay, my daughter was born and she was premature. We did not have health insurance. When I finally got health insurance, I was already 6 months pregnant and nobody would take me because I had gone so far along in my pregnancy without health insurance. I found one doctor. I did not want a male doctor because I just think male gynecologists are like, that concept just kind of creeped me out at the time. But he was the only one that would take me. And that man was with me through 4 pregnancies. 2 survived, 2 did not. But he was probably the best doctor I ever had, and definitely one of the most caring doctors that I have ever had. And he was like, we have a problem. He was very matter of fact, but he was very calm and reassuring, and he gave us the options of what we could do with my first pregnancy. And I ended up being hospitalized for a couple months with her because we were trying to make it to the end of the pregnancy, and I was not going to make it to the end of the pregnancy if I had returned home. I just needed constant care, and my daughter needed constant care. She survived. She was born very early, 31 weeks. She was 1.5 pounds at birth, but we made it through that time. And then in 2012, I found out I was pregnant, and the joy of knowing that you have a new life growing inside of you. I didn't think I would get emotional, but when I tell you, it was like the best feeling in the world. It really was. And I didn't know if my husband would agree to the name, but like I had a name picked out that was something that was special to both of us. And one day my husband worked late nights, overnights, and I woke up in the middle of the night screaming at the top of my lungs. The pain was so out of this world, and I did not know what was going on because I you hear about miscarriage, but do you really know how that affects people? No, I did not. And I ended up miscarrying, and I was home by myself going through that ordeal. And when my husband finally made it home, he's like, we'll go to the hospital. But before he got home, I called my doctor's office, because they have the emergency line, and I called, and the doctor on duty was like, well, what did you do? And essentially, what did you do to cause this miscarriage? And I'm like, what? Do you not hear how distraught I am? Why would you even insinuate that I did something to possibly terminate my pregnancy. Like, I am doing everything that I can. I'm coming to you for help to save my pregnancy. Now, I did not say that, but that's what went through my heart. And that has stayed with me. It's been 13 years, and that definitely is something that has stayed with me. The fact that she would even insinuate that the miscarriage I was experiencing at the time was my fault. And after that, I was like, I would never see a female doctor in this doctor's office again. If it wasn't the male doctor, there's one male doctor there. If it wasn't him, I wasn't seeing anybody. They're like, oh, we can schedule you with somebody else. Nope. No. I don't know which one of y'all it was, but it was one of y'all. But that hurt to lose that baby, to lose that pregnancy, to lose that hope, to lose that joy, to lose all of those, fun, bubbly expectations was a lot, y'all. And then to have, this woman come at me like, oh, and I will never forget, when I made it to my doctor and they did all the blood work, and he was like, to hear the sadness in his voice, because he was genuinely saddened for me, has stuck with me. There's a scripture that talks about, rejoice when, someone who's with you is rejoicing, mourn when they are mourning. And he mourned with me the loss of my child. And I appreciate that, because it's really hard. And, we go through the next year, and I found out I was pregnant, and this is the following year. And I was like, oh my gosh, God, this last year has been so hard. Like, it's been so hard. I could not look at a baby. I did not want to see a pregnant woman. I did not want to see a baby. I could not have joy. I could not have peace. I could not be in the presence, like physically in the same room as a woman that was pregnant or with a child, a young child. I didn't want to see pictures of it. I didn't want to hear about it. Like, that pain was so deep in me that I didn't know if I would ever get out from underneath of it. And then the following year, when I found out that I was pregnant, it was my third pregnancy, and I felt like, God, you are blessing me. Thank you so much, because I've been through so much pain and so much trauma with this first miscarriage that, like, thank you for even giving me the opportunity to have another chance at becoming a mom, because I've always wanted to be a mom. And I remember, like, telling my husband, like, yeah, we're expecting. I'm so excited. Like, this has been such a hard time. And that morning I, like, sat down and I was like, looking at baby names and making a list, because with our first child, like, I went through 20 million names. I'm like, these are names that I like. These are names that I like that I think he might actually agree to. And I was so excited. And, like, by lunchtime that same day that I found out I was pregnant, I started bleeding. And I was just like, no, God, like, no, like, please, like, no, we just got here. We just got here. And by the time my husband got home, like, yeah, we had lost the baby. Lost the pregnancy. And I remember just sitting and crying, like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this anymore, God. And then I found out, some time passed, and I found out I was pregnant with my son. And then I started having complications with my pregnancy with my son. And then it was just like, and the complications were like, this pregnancy is not going to last. So just be prepared. Like, unless we are aggressive in trying to save the pregnancy, it's not going to make it. And I remember just being like, no, like, God, no. My heart can't take this pain. My spirit cannot take this pain. I cannot lose a third child in a row, back to back to back. Like, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. And I was at such a heartbroken place, because we know, like, if you are a child and you lose a parent, you are an orphan. If you are a spouse and you lose your partner, you are a widow, you are a widower. What's the word for parents that lose children other than broken? There is no word in our language for that. And I remember being so angry, because I'm like, I just went through this, now go through this again, and now here I am the third time. And I remember essentially giving God an ultimatum, saying, if you will lose me, I'm just letting you know right now, like, I am that broken. You will lose me, because I will walk away from all that I have known in my life about my faith if this baby does not survive. Like, mentally, I cannot handle this trauma. It was too much. It was just absolutely too much. And just remember sitting on my sofa just crying, like, I cannot go through this a third time. It doesn't make sense. There is nothing anybody can say. And if somebody tells me one more time, when you could just have another child, I'm telling you, I will not be responsible for my actions to them. They are going to get throat punched. Like, stop dismissing my pain and the death of my child. Like, because if I did that to you and your child, you would be like, oh, no. So don't do it to me. Yeah, I was traumatized, guys. I was traumatized. And I remember just being so angry. There was nothing that could console me. And then something happened, because I was like, there's nothing that you can do right now other than to make this baby live. And if you've ever seen the movie The Passion of the Christ, there is a scene, during the crucifixion, where it zooms out to the whole earth, and you see like a single drop of rain, if you will, single teardrop fall, like from space through the atmosphere to the ground, and then after that, like, the ground shakes and the veil in the temple is torn. And God reminded me in that moment that if there was anybody in all creation who understood what it was like to be separated from their child through death, it was him. It was him. And that, something's in my eye, and that humbled me greatly. And while it did not take away my pain, it did disarm a fair bit of my anger. Like, he knew. This was not a God who was ignorant of the pain that I was going through. Anybody who understood, it was him. And I kind of sat in that revelation for several years. And honestly, that revelation of him understanding my pain is what you see here. It's the foundation of what you see here, because I have cried some tears. I have been some type of angry. I have been some type of envious and jealous of women who could carry to term and have no complications. Like, I'm so sick and tired of seeing all these beautifully swollen women with babies inside of them, and I can't even make it to the 8th month, you know. Like, that's how I was feeling for real, guys. And so when that realization came to me and I just kind of sat in it, like, he understood. But there was still a piece of me that was missing, because my children, those hopes and those dreams and those expectations were no longer with me here in the physical, you know. And so when I had to learn to take my brokenness and give it to God. I had to, you know. And because if I stayed in my pain, if I stayed in my brokenness, I'm telling y'all, I would not be here right now in 2025. If I had not said, okay, you understand, I need you to take this from me because it is too much for me to bear. And I'm so grateful that God gave me the strength to let go of my pain. And letting go of that pain does not mean that it still doesn't sting. It just means I'm not being buried under the weight of that loss. And because I still have moments where I'm like, God, I would love to experience it just once, God, in my life. Would I love to experience a healthy pregnancy, carrying to term? Like, I want all the stuff that I see women are happy and joyous. Like, I want to be able to experience that. But now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, well, that just might not be the path that God has for me. Okay, I got it. I can let it. It kind of sucks at times, but I can relinquish that and know that God has me on this path for a reason. But I know that my little ones that did not, you know, cross over on this side of earth, you know, I believe wholeheartedly I will see them again. And that hope and that faith in me knowing and trusting that God understands, and knowing and trusting that He has my unborn children with Him and they are safe and secure. Like, when people say, how do you have hope? How do you have joy? I have it because I have a God that loves me. And He is like, I know you're hurting. I understand. Give me your pain. You got this. You can get through this. And so I have His encouragement. I have hope that comes from Him. And honestly, that is how I have gotten through. That is how, even with parenting through the hard times with, you know, the children that are here with me, like, I cry out to Him, like, I need God in my life, or I wouldn't be here, guys. I would not be here physically. I would not be here mentally. I would not be here spiritually, emotionally, if it wasn't for Him sheltering me, and if it wasn't for me surrendering to Him. Like, because I was a mad, you talk about Diary of a Mad Black Woman, I was a mad Black woman, okay? Like, because I hurt, and there's no comfort in this world for parents. I don't care in what stage you lose your children, there is no comfort in that. The only comfort has to come from the other side. It has to come from God. You know, if I don't know how anyone makes it through without his grace, without his mercy, without his comfort, without him saying, I understand. You can get through this. So my joy, my happiness comes from God. It really does. I do. Whatever you see in me, it is supernatural. Because I will tell you, I'm a woman that is still healing. I'm healing from childhood traumas. I am healing from adulthood traumas. I am healing from self-inflicted trauma. I am still healing. Any joy that I have, it comes from the Almighty God. Because without him, guys, I've said before that I'm living in stoppage time. Stoppage time is added time at the end of the soccer game. And outside of regulation, I'm living in that. I am a 24-year survivor. Okay, 24 years ago, survivor of self-harm. Okay. This is my stoppage time. I turned 48 this year. So I've lived a second life. I've lived a second life by the grace of God, who had plans for me that I did not see 24 years ago. You know, he had hope for me that I did not see 24 years ago. So I am here because of his love, because of his grace. He has brought me through so much. So I have peace. I have joy. I have happiness because I know I have him in my life by my side, leading me, because when my eyes were off of him, there was no hope. I had no hope. I had no concept that I had value to bring to this world. And now here I am 24 years later, and I am bringing value to this world that I did not know that was possible, you know. And I am grateful for this opportunity. Does it stink to go through the stuff that I've been through? Yes. But I feel like it has built something up in me, something up in my faith, something up in my spirit that I would have never had life been a lot easier. Take it for what you will, you know, but I am grateful. I've been through a lot. You know, I tell people that, like, I've been through a lot. I might not talk about all of it, but I've been through a lot. But I know who I have on my side, and I get excited now about the journey, like the potential, the journey that he has me on. So that's what I have to say. That is my story. That is my story. I'm peeking at the door because I can hear movement, and my little one is probably up, and my husband was up too. But I'll see y'all in the next video. All right? Bye.